For the best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. This is Iven, owner of Frontier Motors, and we are bringing the show live from the CoWorks Annex in downtown Pensacola, above Palafox Street. We've been doing this show going on 23 years now, and this Frontier Motor Show is a little bit about a car business, what's happening in our neck of the woods here in Pensacola, also what's happening a little nationwide in the car business, and also what we can do at Frontier Motors to make sure that when you're in the car market, whether it be new or slightly new, that you're going to make sure that you get a good deal by taking the helpful hints that we give you on the show, and also the advice that we can give you if you happen to stop in at Frontier Motors with any types of questions. By the way, this is streaming live on YouTube right now, so if you want to go to YouTube, you can follow along, ask any questions if you want. First thing that we talk about is a little bit what's going on in the car industry nationwide, and Consumer Reports just came out with their top 10, which I look forward to every year, because being an independent car dealer, I'm excited that we are able to sell every make and model, so I don't have to worry about if one of my cars is not on there, because we have every car. And they start, oh, by the way, to make the top 10, one of the things that the Consumer Reports criteria now, it has to have electronic braking standard to make the top 10. Now, last month's show, I talked about safety features and what safety features mean to the new car buyer and to anybody buying a newer car. I've got people coming to Frontier Motors that are trading in cars only for one reason, because they want the new safety features. Electronic braking is one of these features, and that is if somebody hits the brakes by an emergency in front of you, that your car will also hit the brakes, especially if you're not paying attention, which could be quite often. Hopefully you're not texting and driving, but isn't it nice to know that your car's smart enough not to do that, and it will stop you from hitting the person in front of you, and hopefully the guy behind you has got one of these cars also. So Consumer Reports, when they do their top 10, which, by the way, they have 470,000 surveys that they send out to owners of these cars. When they do the top 10, it has to have this feature. So if your car didn't make it, it's because it probably doesn't have that feature. And it has to be standard, not just offered as an option. In the mid-size category, the Subaru Ascent, this is an SUV, the Ascent, A-S-C-E-N-T. That's a new vehicle. If you don't know what that's about, that is their new big third-seat vehicle. So it'll be like a Ford Explorer in the Subaru version. They love that vehicle. They gave it a 93 rating. And the mid-size car, the car they like the best in this mid-size car, is a Toyota Camry hybrid. So if you're thinking about, or a Toyota Camry, but the hybrid they especially like, because the hybrid got 47 miles a gallon. Pretty good for a gasoline car that's not a plug-in electric. Audi, compact luxury car. So the smaller luxury car, the number one they liked the best was an Audi A4, and I was so happy last year to announce that we have an Audi dealership in town, a brand spanking new one, owned by the Sonic Group, which is a large nationwide dealer group, and they have Pensacola Honda, and they also have the Pensacola Audi. And it's a brand new dealership. It's gorgeous. If you're going to buy a brand new Audi, we always urge you to buy in town and go see Pensacola Audi. If you're thinking about maybe buying one and saving some money, obviously that's where we come in as Frontier Motors. But Consumer Reports that if you're looking for a smaller luxury car, the A4 is the way to go. Years ago, the Audi was not that good of a car as far as I'm concerned. Not a very reliable car, even though it always drove great. It would always look great, but it wasn't very reliable. Well, they've come around, folks. They're actually a good car. A small car, if you want a small car, the Toyota Yaris is number one. If you want a subcompact SUV, which is a small SUV, the new Hyundai Kona, K-O-N-A, is their vehicle to go to. They love that car, and it has a base price of $25,000, which isn't too bad based on the fact the average car sold last year, brand new, was $36,000. So a Kona SUV by Hyundai is not a bad car. It starts at $25,000. A Toyota Avalon Hybrid they loved as the large car. They love the Toyota Hybrid as a large car, and a large SUV, a luxury SUV, is BMW X5. Interesting. They love the X5. They gave it a road test of 98 out of 100. Drive this car, folks. If you go for a demo ride over at Sandy Sansing on an X5, you will buy the car as long as you can afford it. This has a base price of just about $70,000. And of course, they can tip the scale well over $100,000, depending on the equipment you put on. But if you're going to buy a luxury car, they love this car. Right below that was a Q7, which, by the way, I'm driving a Q7 right now, which is an Audi product, and I also like the Audi. The number one pickup truck they liked was an F-150. The close call was a Ram and a Chevy, but they liked the F-150 the best. And for a hybrid car, the Prius has been their favorite car year after year after year, not because it looks the best, because I don't think it looks that good myself, but very, very reliable car, not to mention 50 miles per gallon. In a compact SUV, the Subaru Forester, hey, you can't go wrong with a Subaru these days. Matter of fact, if you look at how the brand stacked up, this is the overall brand ranking in 2019. Last year it was Genesis. This year it's Subaru. Subaru's number one. That's not just reliability, folks. That's customer satisfaction, reliability, safety ratings, roadability, how does the car handle, quietness. So a lot of things go into that, making it the best brand. They have a separate month that they do just reliability, and just reliability is not necessarily the best car out there, because there might be a car that's very reliable, but they just don't like the way it corners or maybe doesn't brake fast enough. So when they do the overall ranking, that to me is the most important, and Subaru was number one. Number two was last year's winner, which was the Genesis. And for those of you that don't know this, the Genesis now is Hyundai's luxury brand. It used to be a Hyundai Genesis. Well, now it's not a Hyundai Genesis anymore. It's a Genesis, and then they make a G70, a G80, a G90. So the models are Gs, I guess, for Genesis. And Alan Turner has the new Genesis dealer in town. He's going to build a separate facility for Genesis, and he has a new Hyundai dealership, which is gorgeous, by the way. But if you're going to buy a new Genesis, which is highly rated, my wife drives a G80. She likes the Genesis actually even better than Lexus, which used to be the car she drove all the time. And one of the things about the Genesis that I like over the Lexus, it's about $10,000 less money. Not that money is important, but it's always weird that that's one of the first things everybody always asks me, how much is it? Right behind that was Porsche, which was only 1% rating off. Porsche used to be a crappy car as far as I'm concerned 20 years ago. It's not anymore. They love the Porsche because the reliability rating, they've always loved the Porsche. I've always loved the way they looked. I loved the way they handled. I didn't like the reliability. I'm talking about 20 years ago. I got in the car business when I was 15, so I've got a grudge sometimes on some of these cars that aren't that good. Well, guess what? Porsche's made a big turnaround. They're very reliable and they drive great. Audi's right behind there. Lexus, which is the top for reliability, is number 5 for overall brand. I love selling Lexus products. Love it. People say, well, why do you like selling Lexus? I never have a customer complaint, and I'm talking never. I've never ever had a customer 23 years of selling cars at Frontier Motors where customers come back and said, I am not buying another Lexus because it gave me issues. Never. Which is really, really good. And that goes along to some other models that are up there also. Mazda. Who would think that Mazda would be ahead of BMW, Lincoln, Toyota, and Hyundai for the best brand out there? If you're thinking about overall and you're on a budget, Mazda is the way to go. What a great car. Kind of a sleeper. I wouldn't have thought that. Then BMW, then Lincoln. Lincoln's come from way on the bottom, bad reliability, not a very good car, to being a really good vehicle. Lincolns are selling like crazy, and they're actually maybe on the verge of overtaking Cadillac as far as sales, which doesn't happen very often in 1 year's time. Toyota is interesting. Toyota's number 9. Isn't that interesting? Everybody always thinks Toyota's number 1. And Toyota has one of the most reliable cars out there, but they didn't like everything about it. There were some cars that weren't par, they weren't fast enough, they didn't brake good enough, they didn't like the way they ride, they were too noisy. So Toyota was not that high on the list. And then Hyundai, and then we have Volkswagen, Kia, and Honda after that. So very interesting. And you know, the nice thing about being an independent dealer, folks, is that when you come to Frontier Motors, we don't have to sell you into a make or model. You know, if you are a Volkswagen dealer and you come on the lot as a Volkswagen customer, guess what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you all the reasons why that Volkswagen is a better car than the Chevy, than the Mazda, than the Lexus, because that's what their job is. And they've got all kinds of publications that'll give you little tidbits of information of why Volkswagen's number 1. Well, when you come to Frontier Motors, it doesn't matter if you want a Volkswagen, if you want a Ford, a Chevy, a Mazda. We have them all lined up. So our salespeople don't have to sell you a car. They just help you by you picking out a car, the car of your dreams. They might give you an opinion if you ask. Some customers do not want our opinion. They want to drive that one, that one, that one, and tell me how much it costs. Well, then that's what we do. We sell you cars the way you want to be sold. Some people want to take their time and drive 5 cars. Some people come and they know exactly what they want. You know, I want a 2017 Chevy Camaro with a stick shift. It's got to be yellow with a tan interior. If we don't have that car on the lot, we go get it. But some people know exactly what they want. Usually they come in because they already know we have that car by looking on the website. Again, 350 to 400 cars in inventory, so we pretty much have something for everybody. So again, because we are an independent dealer, it makes it so much more fun for the customer that there's no pressure into selling you one particular vehicle over another, because we have them all lined up. It's almost like going to a car show. If you're thinking about buying a small-sized SUV, I'll give you an example, and you're not sure if you want a Chevy Equinox or you want a Ford Escape, well, or if you want, maybe you want the Mazda CX-5. So what do you got to do? You got to go to 3 different dealers to look at 3 different cars. You got to talk to 3 salesmen, probably talk to 3 managers. They're all going to try to put the pressure on you to get you to buy the car right then and there. At Frontier Motors, we don't have to do that because we have all those 3, and then we have 10 other ones just like it. You know, we've got the Lincoln version, we've got the Highline version, the Infiniti, and the Acura. We have them all lined up there. So it's like going to a car show where you can come to one dealer, look at 10 different small SUVs if that's what you're looking at, be able to test drive them all. Maybe even if they're not exactly the right color or the right equipment, what we do at that point, we can narrow it down to what you want, and then we'll give you a price and we will go buy that car for you. It normally takes me 1 week to 2 weeks to save you thousands and thousands of dollars on a car that might only be 5 months to 12 months old. Talking about that, we always bring with us a voicemail from our friend Dave Ramsey, who talks a little bit about what we do at Frontier Motors, and especially the most important thing, which is saving you a chunk of money.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. For almost a decade, I've been telling you about my friends at Frontier Motors in Pensacola. The biggest reason is they help my listeners save thousands of dollars when purchasing a slightly used car over a brand new one. Consumer Reports says the average new car depreciates a whopping $9,200 in the first year alone. That's crazy. So if you're thinking new, don't. Go see Frontier Motors and see how much they can save you on a current year car with very low miles. And if your goal is to get out of debt, bring Frontier Motors your car and they can write you a check on the spot. Frontier Motors can also do consignments and they don't charge a fee or a commission. Frontier Motors have been helping the people in the Pensacola area for 21 years. They are the go-to dealer for free advice when it comes to buying or selling a car. Please go see my friends at Frontier Motors. And don't forget to tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
Dave Ramsey does a really good job saying in 60 seconds what it takes me 30 minutes to say. So, and he's a real good spokesman for Frontier. Matter of fact, he picked us out. We weren't planning on doing any advertising with him. He did a commercial for us, and the way he did that is he goes in one large market and he only endorses one independent used car dealer. He doesn't endorse new, because obviously his whole claim to fame is to saving you money and put more money in the bank and retiring early. So he would never tell you to buy a new car. But it's kind of cool that he picked us out. We didn't call him up and say, hey, can we do advertising on your show? He picked us. And you have to have a good Better Business rating. You've got to have a good Google review rating to be able to make his cut, which we did. And he's been doing endorsements for us for 10 years now. And as long as our Google reviews and as long as our ratings don't fall, he's going to continue doing it. And fortunately, we have such a good customer satisfaction and such a big repeat customer. 70% of our customers come back and buy another car from us, which in the used car industry is unheard of, because most people buy a used car wherever the car happens to be. Our customers come back to us, and even if we don't have that car, they want us to find it for them because they want to do business with us because of the way they're treated, knowing that we're going to make money when we sell you a car, but we're never going to rip you off. And that's what all people want. People know that you got to make money to stay in business. They just don't want to be taken advantage of. And Dave Ramsey said it right, the first year, depreciation is 20%. Folks, in 4 years, you lose 56% of a new car. Why would you buy a brand new car when you can save 27% in the first year? We sold a Lexus last month. It's a $102,000 Lexus. It was 9 months old. We sold it for $72,000. Now, I know that's a lot of money, but if you think of, what about the poor sap that bought that car brand new for $102,000? 1 year, not even a year later, he lost $30,000 on that car. And of course, that's an extreme example because it's a $100,000 car, but I think you catch the drift of what I'm talking about. Let's talk about reliability a little bit. We talked about brand rating. I like talking about reliability because when you're a used car dealer, you're only good as the car you're selling. So the better cars that you sell, the more customer satisfaction you're going to have. The better customer satisfaction, the more people are going to send you their friends and relatives, and the more people are going to come back and buy another car for you. So I like selling reliable cars. There are some that aren't so reliable, which we try not to purchase. We do take them in trade. But the ones that are very reliable, according to Consumers Reports, I've got the 2018 rankings here. So these cars, with the 20s being out, are a year and a half old. Lexus is number one. I talked about that before. Love selling Lexus products. Number two is Toyota. If most people don't know this, Toyota is the brand for Lexus. Lexus is the Highline division of Toyota. Some people don't even realize that Toyota owns Lexus. And their reliability is number two. Mazda, we talked about that before in the brand ranking. Mazda was number 6. Mazda is number 3 in reliability. If you think about buying a car, I would never shy you away from a Mazda. And people don't think that about Mazdas. Because again, you go back 10, 15 years ago, Mazdas weren't that good of a car. They weren't up with the Nissans and the Toyotas of the world. Well, they are now. So buy yourself a Mazda. Subaru, they've come
Looking for the best car, SUV, or truck? Guess what? You're in luck.
And right behind Kia is Infiniti. After Infiniti is Audi, then BMW, then Mini Cooper, then Hyundai, then Porsche, and so on down the line. So it's kind of interesting how the reliability stacks up versus the brand rankings, which is, again, the rankings are more in depth. I think the rankings are more important, but when you're selling used cars for a living, reliability is very, very important, especially on some of the older cars that we get in trade. I have no problem selling an older Lexus. Even we have a Lexus on the lot. It's an RX 350 with 160,000 miles on it. It still has a lot of life left in it. And when we talk about vehicles that will last 200,000 miles, consumers, actually this was from Automotive News, has an article about which SUV is most likely to hit 200,000 miles without a major problem being on the road. The number one was a Sequoia, Toyota product, of course. Number two was kind of a surprise, a Chevy Suburban. I don't know if people keep them longer, but most likely it hit 200,000 miles or over. Number three was a Ford Expedition. Again, not one that I would think would make the list. Then the Yukon XL, if you don't know what a Yukon XL is, that's a GMC Suburban. Years ago, they used to all call them Suburbans, whether the GMCs or not anymore. A 4Runner, a Tahoe, a Highlander, a Ridgeline, a Yukon, a Tacoma, a Tundra, an Avalon, an Odyssey, and a Navigator. Who'd have thought the Lincoln Navigator would be up there? Have you seen the new Lincoln Navigators? I've had 4 of them on the lot. Man, are they gorgeous. I think they're taking a lot of sales away from the Escalade, is a Lincoln Navigator. They just did such a good job. And the interior of that car is phenomenal. One of the things that I have not liked in the last 5 or 6 years is the interiors of the domestics. They look cheap and plastic, not just the domestics, but I'd throw the BMW and some of the other ones, Audi in there, and guess what? They are spending a lot of time and engineering on the interiors of these cars. We had one of these Lincoln Navigator Reserves on the lot. Now I've got to admit, it was a $100,000 car, but the interior of that vehicle was the nicest interior I've ever seen on a vehicle. And of course, we've got Astro Lincoln Mercury right here, so if you're gonna buy a brand new one, they're the place to go. Keep the money in town. If you're thinking about buying one that's maybe 6 months or a year old or 2 years old, still in a factory warranty, Frontier Motors is where you need to shop, because not only do we have those cars in inventory, we will tell you how much they are even if they're not on the lot. So if you go on our website and you don't see what you want, still give us a call. We will give you all the information that you need to make a good decision. So if you're thinking about buying a brand new Lincoln and you come on our lot and you don't see a 19 or an 18 on the lot, don't be discouraged. Pick up the phone and say, hey, I saw Ivan on the TV and I want to know how much would a 19 Lincoln Navigator run me? And I can look at the auction reports, I'll put a small profit on there, and I'll say, okay, I can sell you that vehicle for $57,000. Well, if a brand new one is $70,000, wouldn't it make it worth your while to buy one that's maybe 7 or 8 months old with 5,000 to 10,000 miles on it, that are still under factory warranty, that still looks like new, that still smells like new? Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, because that's not true. 17.5 million people bought brand new cars last year, even though I told them not to. So either they're not listening to the show, or they're not that bright, or they don't care about money. What is it? Which one is it? I'm not sure which one it is. I think most of you out there would love to save $5,000, $10,000 on a car. The Lexus customer that bought us last month saved $30,000 over the price of a new one on a car that was not even 1 year old. That's a lot of money. I could throw in an extra car for that money. You could have 2 cars for the price of one when you think about it. Hey, if you need some assistance, if you get in an accident, get the word out, folks, that we give diminished value letters. What that means, if somebody crashes into you, it's not your fault, your vehicle's value now has been compromised. Well, how much is that? Come and get an opinion from Frontier Motors. I've got 4 sales managers there that can do diminished value letters, and they will give you a letter in writing saying, hey, that vehicle now is worth $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 less, depending on the extent of the crash, and you should get money from the other person's insurance that hit you to make that vehicle's value right. Because if you're going to trade it into me, I'm going to nick you for the value on your car that's been in a major wreck or a moderate wreck. Now, if it's minor, don't call me, because there's not going to be any diminished value on a minor accident. But if it's a moderate or a major accident, you should be compensated because the value has been compromised. And we had this happen, I think it was a year and a half ago, with a BMW 5 Series where a lady came in. $5,000 of diminished value, very expensive car, major accident. The insurance company did not total it. We got her an extra $5,000. She actually fixed the car, put it on consignment, and we sold it to the next owner. But we sold it for $5,000 less, and of course we disclosed it. The vehicle was still under factory warranty. The guy got a bargain on that car because she was able to get money from the insurance company, so indirectly it didn't really cost her anything, and she was able to sell the car, and she bought herself a brand new car. So we got some cars coming in the new car end of it, folks. If you are looking for another mid-size, a small to slash mid-size truck, the Ford Ranger's out. So if you haven't been in the car market, the average age of a used car on the road is 11.8 years. Isn't that crazy? When I got in the car business in 1975, the average age was 7 years. Right now, it's 11.8 years old, which means, number one, that you haven't bought a car in a long, the average person hasn't bought a car in a long time. The cars are lasting longer, and you might not even know what's available. So if you're thinking a mid-sized truck, you know what a Chevy Colorado or a Canyon is. Well, Ford now has the new Ranger. They're on the lot. What about the new Gladiator? The Wrangler Gladiator on the lot. I was over at the dealer the other day and I was looking at the Gladiators. They had like 10 of them in stock. So the Gladiator is a cool looking vehicle. Hey, you know, you can take the doors off that, you can take the roof off. You can even fold the front windshield down. How cool is that if you're going to go off-roading with a brand new Gladiator? The Chevy Blazer's out. Beautiful vehicle. I saw a Chevy Blazer the other day. I sat in it. I was at one of the state fairs up north, and they had a Chevy display, and the Blazer, I'm very impressed with the new Chevy Blazer. The Genesis G70 is their new smaller car. That's out on the market. My wife drives a G80. She loves it. This is a little bit smaller than that, and it gives they said it gives the BMW 3 Series and the Mercedes C Series a run for its money. So if you're thinking of those two models, check out the Genesis. A better warranty too. Better warranty. BMW and Mercedes has a 4-year warranty, and they have a 5-year warranty, so pretty nice. They got a new Forester coming out, and they got a new Toyota RAV4, which we have those on the lots already. For 2019. I love the looks of the new 2019 RAV4s, and we have them on the lot. Folks, again, Frontier Motors is the dealership that you're going to go to if you want to save a whole bunch of money on a car that's pre-owned. That's what we specialize in. But because we have so many vehicles that are like new, we also take a lot of vehicles in trade that might be 5, 6, 7 years old. Even, like I said, I've got an RX 350 we just took in trade that's 160,000 miles on that we can sell for way under $10,000. And it passes all inspections, had the timing belt done, had the water pump done, it's got good tires on it, everything works on it. So we do have less expensive cars. People always say, well, you only have the cars that are like new. That's not true, because we sell so many, we have a lot of inexpensive cars that are on the lot. Our Frontier Motors website will show you every single car. Sometimes it takes maybe 4 days to get the pictures on there, so you might see a couple cars without pictures, but once we get the car back, after it's been washed and cleaned, we have someone come out and take pictures, between 30 and 50 pictures. We try to put the price on there right away. You're going to see almost 400 cars in inventory, and they're all going to have pricing on there. And the thing that I really want to talk about at Frontier Motors is not just that we have 350, 400 cars, but also that we can actually make it fun. A lot of dealerships advertise this, and you pull your hair out when you're trying to get a bottom line price from these dealers. At Frontier Motors, we advertise that we will give you a bottom line price in writing as soon as you want that. A lot of people aren't as concerned about the price as they're concerned about the vehicle. They want to pick out the right vehicle. They want to make sure it has the right equipment. They want to make sure it has a good condition report and that it passes condition. And they want to make sure at that point that the price is in their budget. So what we do is we say, oh, here's the book value, here's what we can offer the vehicle for, here's what we can give you for your trade-in, here's the taxes, the title, the doc fee, and here's your total out-the-door figure in writing. So that way, if you're not really sure and you want to compare it to a new car dealer, for example, you've got the figure in writing. I always say that if a new car dealership will not give you an out-the-door figure in writing, I would walk out. They are hiding something. And you shouldn't have to fight for that figure. It should go like this: hey, can you give me an out-the-door price? I want everything included. And folks, make sure they include the license plate transfer. A new license plate, for example, can cost as much as $500. So make sure that they don't charge you that afterwards where you think you've got an out-the-door figure, and then 30 days later when you come and pick up your license plate, don't forget the dealer has to do your tag work for you. You can't do it yourself. So the dealer goes, does the tag work, they call you up 30 days later, okay, your tag's in. You come in there and they say, okay, it's $458, and you say, what? Everything was supposed to be included. So make sure they include the tag fee, because that's what we do at Frontier Motors. If you have a tag transfer, we can figure out exactly how much it's going to be, and we're going to make sure we give you that total out-the-door figure so you can compare. Now, if we don't always have the lowest price, we're going to have the lowest miles. If we don't have the lowest miles, it's going to be the most equipment, especially safety features. And if we don't have, if everything is the same as the other dealer, the number one thing that we're going to beat the dealer with is the condition of our car. The auction rates the cars from 0 to 5. If the vehicle's not over a rated of 4, I don't even look at the car. Most dealers love to buy cars that are rated 2 or 3 because they can buy those cars cheaper and advertise them cheaper. And I don't think it's all about the price. I think it's about the car. If you're going to get one car, and like I said, the average age of a car on the road is 11 years, and keep that car for a long time, isn't the car more important than the bottom line price? What if our car was $1,000 more, but it had $4,000 more equipment, or it was in immaculate condition versus just average condition? I think most people get the drift of what I'm talking about, and the fact that you can buy whenever you want. You don't have to buy. You can come in, kick some tires, spend an hour or two, and leave without getting pressured and making a buying decision. That's Frontier Motors. We're located at 230 Beverly Parkway. If you haven't been at Frontier Motors, we don't have a big sign up, but we have a huge 15-foot buffalo out front. That's kind of our mascot. That's kind of our billboard saying that if you see that buffalo, a lot of people know where the buffalo is. That is where Frontier Motors is. When you drive on the lot, again, we've got easy parking. We don't have a mausoleum. We opted years ago not to go to Car City for a reason, not because we didn't want to be where the dealers were. It's because we didn't want to pay what the dealers were paying for the property and for mausoleum and the taxes and insurance that goes along with a big building. We decided that we want to make a profit on a car, but still beat the competition. How do you do that? One reason, you don't mark them up so much. How do you do that? By not having that huge overhead. And that's what you're going to find at Frontier Motors. We do love to buy cars from private individuals, so if you got a car you want to sell it, please bring it to Frontier Motors. We've got to go now. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Looking for the best car,
That's no big deal.
SUV,
I'm sure
or
you can
truck?
spice it so you won't even
Guess
notice
what?
it, right?
You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We've got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors. Low overhead country.